Many of you have probably seen my recent appearance on Jubilee. If you haven't, definitely check it out. It's linked in the description. But the response has been weird. I've gotten some of the strangest comments I've ever gotten in my career while on social media. And we're gonna talk about that. But first, let me give you a little behind the scenes of what happened in order to make this debate actually happen. I was watching Jubilee and saw a 20 versus 1 episode, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be a good idea if it was a doctor versus anti-vaxxer? So I had Sam shoot them an email and recommend the idea for an episode and actually volunteer to be the one in the middle. They loved the idea, and they said that they would absolutely be interested in doing it. So we went and right away started scheduling it. Sam and I flew ourselves out to Los Angeles where they filmed these episodes, and the participants didn't even know I was coming. So that was completely news to them. I walk out into this circle, lights are on, cameras are already rolling. I get like a few giggles, some applause, some groans. Feel totally nervous being in this cold environment. Get into this uncomfy chair, which impacted my posture, and we'll talk about that in a bit. I was actually surprised by the diversity of people, not based on their demographics, but based on their beliefs about vaccines. There were people who were vehemently anti-vaccine. You could sense it from them. They got emotional. There were individuals who just had questions. There were some people that were skeptical of certain vaccines, but not other vaccines. Others were involved in legal battles surrounding vaccines. So it was such a diverse group of people. But what I will say that they all had in common was they were all pretty polite and nice to me. And that was very welcome. And I very much appreciated that. I even called it out during the debate. When it comes to how I was feeling during the debate, I just wanted to make sure I was saying everything accurately. So I spoke more slowly than I would watching a Grey's Anatomy or the Pitt reaction. I was very careful to make sure that I would present accurate info, that I didn't misspeak on things, to very clearly and confidently say, I don't know, as much as I could, to show that you have to be transparent and to also own the failures of past mistakes that the medical community has made. Because guess what? We made those. And a lot of the comments that came in when the debate went live was people being very thankful and kind to me, calling me a saint. I'm a better person than they are, because they would have gotten really mad. And what that taught me was that people are very angry and emotional, and I get that. But at the same time, it told me how much people don't know about what doctors actually do. We spend hours every single day doing our best to educate patients on topics that they're not familiar with, that they've learned some misinformation about, that they're perhaps very passionate culturally about. And we have to approach that with a very empathetic patient mindset. So what you saw on camera was what happens behind closed doors during a doctor-patient interaction. I just can't show those because of patient privacy. But in reality, that is the type of empathetic listening that happens when a good doctor is seeing a patient. I listen to people, I allow them to speak, they allowed me to speak. I got pretty good info out there to counter some of the misinformation that was said or people believed initially, so that the criticism shifted from me being a pharma shill, me being indoctrinated, to that my posture was bad, that I shrimp a lot, and that I have gotten extremely morbidly obese, AKA calling me fat. But it wasn't your run-of-the-mill body shaming. It was some kind of hyper-masculine, pro-testosterone-y type ribbing. And I say ribbing quite lightly because they were being really mean about it. Look, I have definitely put on weight since my boxing days. In fact, in order to have boxed, I lost about 30 pounds. Because when you're training 2-a-days and burning 3,000 calories between those 2 workouts and only consuming 2,500 or so, you're losing weight every single day. So yes, for my fight, I got down to 182 pounds. But that is not my normal walking around weight. That was extreme weight loss for my body. So yes, over the last 2 years or so, I probably gained 40 to 50 pounds, where I would have liked to just put on the 30 pounds that I initially lost. I'm under no illusion that I've gained some weight. I'm under no illusion that Father Time catches us all and that these grays are legit and that my empathetic posture that Rib here loves is like this. It's been commented on Reddit before, even on my curbside consult videos. Unlike some people when they debate someone else, do stuff like this with their posture, I actually want to get into this kind of posture where I'm looking to not overpower them. I'm taller, I'm bigger, I don't want to seem even larger. So I try to get even smaller and get on people's level. So yes, you caught me. I'm admitting it here. I gained weight. I am not the healthiest I've ever been, and my posture sucks. I will be losing that weight. But what people will not be losing is the record of the things that they have said to me. Because while they have deleted their posts, I have screenshotted them. And I'd like to read some of them aloud right now. First of all, thank you, Amy. You've deleted this tweet. It went viral, got millions of views, and you wrote, "It's so scary that doctors aren't taught nutrition. Like, how can you take their advice seriously when they live such unhealthy personal lives? Interesting that people think you have to be ripped in order to be healthy." First of all, completely untrue. Second of all, as I said during the debate, doctors make the worst patients. We're hypocrites. But it doesn't necessarily make the information that we're providing be untrue. I even said that to one of the participants that, hey, doctors are humans. And just because they're not following their own advice doesn't make it less factually accurate. Not hating or anything, but he looks older. No. I am older. I've been on YouTube for almost a decade. That's facts, not opinions. And these gray hairs are because of you. Doc, you on a weight gaining process? Yeah, I'm bulking. It's not summer yet. Remember, that was 3 months ago. I could be ripped right now. I'm not, but I could be. He's at least 20% body fat, that's fat. Well, like, look, when we did our BMI video, I was talking about how DEXA scans are really accurate for measuring body fat, body impedance meters, you could use a caliper, but the worst one is getting your body fat measurement done via Twitter by a comment of a named Michael Drugan. Thanks, bro. Appreciate the inaccurate body fat measurement. Oh, Rob Smith, an individual who I actually met in the green room at Fox News Studios. Because, you know, I used to do mornings with Maria Bartiromo for like 3 years, who was quite polite to me and I was polite to him. I was like, oh, cool, a nice guy, getting along. And then he writes this. The most terrifying part of this is not that the anti-vaxxers, who have valid and responsible concerns about the current childhood vaccination schedule industry, is that Dr. Mike got fat. Pour one out for his previous hotness, folks. It's gone. Sir, that is your opinion. And you can actually enjoy that opinion. Just kind of mean that you chose to put it out on social media. If you DM'd it to me, probably be less offended for some reason. Dr. Mike looked disgusting, gut protruding in his blue scrubs at the debate. Very disrespectful. They need to look at those clips on, I don't know if it's TikTok or YouTube, where people are like, look what I can look like when I sit in an uncomfortable position, and look how much abs I have when I just sit up or suck in my gut. He used to be called the world's sexiest doctor. No one called me that. People magazine called me hottest doctor alive or sexiest doctor alive. They didn't say worlds. They didn't talk about a geography. And now I'm a regular looking dude with poor posture. You know what? Spoiler alert, I was a regular looking dude then with the same posture, but slightly less body fat. So not much has changed. When will they make a vaccine for love handles? Yo, I'd get that vaccine. Their camera and lighting made you look fat. Nope, that was all my doing. It's giving doughy and impotent. At least that's a medical comment. Medical and cooking put together. Scrubs are not forgiving. I appreciate that. And I definitely have gained some weight. And guess what? I'm gonna lose that weight. And I gotta improve my cholesterol. Now I'm doing psyllium husk, decreasing my saturated fat, just trying to be healthier overall. But you know what makes it hard to be healthy? Negative comments online. That's the unfortunate reality. According to gay Twitter, he's a whale. Is that like a bear, but more buoyant? I saw so many mean comments towards the participants. I'm not a fan. And it's not because I'm uppity and I don't like calling people names. I'm from Brooklyn, I get it. But calling people stupid, while it may feel good to you because ego boosts to you that you're smarter than them, it's not valuable, nor is it truly fair. Because if you grew up with certain circumstances around you or learning about terrible things that happen to your culture, you may also end up believing inaccurate things. And that's not to say that everything people believe in those situations is inaccurate. There's always a little bit of truth there. Maybe it's not the most rational, but it is what is most likely to happen to the human mind. The human mind is capable and is very susceptible to emotional reasoning. reasoning. That is why I try to get on the same page so that we can decrease that emotional reasoning and perhaps get to a more factual basis for our understanding. And that's where usually people start understanding where I'm coming from.
Okay, sorry, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please
Thank you.
return to your
Appreciate
seat.
that.
I also saw a lot of feedback of people getting mad about the format, me not being able to fully fact check everything that the person was saying. But guess what? If a patient comes in to my exam room and is very passionate and is saying a lot of things that perhaps aren't accurate or they've been misled by someone, I don't rush to correct everything. That's not a valuable strategy in order to form a good doctor-patient alliance. And in reality, when you're practicing medicine on a practical level, you have time constraints. I don't have an hour with every patient. That's not realistic. So the fact that things got cut off and were incomplete was kind of similar to what happens in real life. And I will say, perhaps I didn't even feel that notion that a lot of you have felt where every time I was making a good point, people voted me off. I think what was happening a lot of the time was if someone was saying something that the audience wasn't feeling, like the participant across from me, and they were kind of just rambling, they picked up their flags. And that's fair because it seemed like the conversation was going nowhere. If I answered and the answer seemed to be complete and they felt like, okay, we get what Dr. Mike is saying, they raised their flags. I don't think they were trying to actively silence me. I don't think they were unified enough to have organized that. And B, I think that they were there in enough good faith that they wanted to hear me talk. All that to say, I'm not defending the fact that I've gained some weight, that my posture is not great, but please, for God's sake, stop body shaming people. It doesn't help them, and honestly, it doesn't help you, because whatever false ego boost that you get in that moment to make you feel better that, I gotta dig on someone, isn't really valuable. It's not gonna make you happy, and it's certainly not gonna help anyone lose weight. So just cut it out. And speaking of body shaming, folks on Reddit in the past have accused me of being fat phobic, and I actually responded to that controversy. You could see that response here. Click here, check that out, and as always, stay happy and healthy.